Hello everyone and welcome to the video that accompanies the Focaccia Genovese recipe sheet. In fact, this is one of two. What we've done here is we've done one video of making the dough, putting in the fridge to proof, and then the second video will be the next day, so that when you come to do the second part, you don't have to trawl all the way through the first part of the video again. So the first thing we do here is we're just weighing out our ingredients. This is our 00 flour, an all-purpose flour. Okay, and then we're going to add to that our semolina. So semolina is a grano duro. It's a hard wheat where they use all of the wheat, not just a little bit inside like a bleached white flour. If you cannot find something like semolina, you can substitute it for a bread flour, a harder flour, something higher in gluten, higher in protein than focaccia, than 00 flour, general all-purpose flour. Then we're going to make the wet part of our mix, so we're going to use olive oil. Now the olive oil is really a flavor component in here, so you want to use a better olive oil than not, because it's going to come through in the final product itself. We're going to add water. And then finally we're going to add our yeast to it. Now, I like to use fresh yeast. Typically, it's not the most, they say it doesn't create the most consistent product, but I've never had a problem with it. But if you are using dry yeast, which is fine, you'll just have to get the conversion for it. And be careful, because different dried yeasts have different conversion rates. Some are 0.4, 40% of fresh to dried. Some are 3.3.5. You really need to check the yeast that you're using, but all are fine. And if you are using dried yeast, don't forget to activate it first. The good thing with fresh yeast is it's ready to go. So we're going to put it on our machine with a dough hook. You can do this by hand, but it requires a lot of work, a lot of beating. So it really is nicer to have a machine to do this sort of thing. So we're just going to mix together our flour and semolina a little bit. It's not too important because you're going to beat the dough really hard, so it'll ultimately get mixed. Now we got the machine on slow speed, and we're slowly adding the liquid. We don't want to add the liquid too quickly, because we want it to come together as a dough. If we add the liquid together too quickly, it puddles, and it's very difficult to bring the dough together afterwards. It's not impossible, but it's a lot easier to make your dough this way. Plus, if you get those puddles, if you put too much in too fast, you tend to get flour that gets stuck to the bottom of the bowl. But we'll talk about that in a second when we sort of get through. Now, as we're adding in our liquid and it's starting to come together as a dough, we're speeding the machine up a little bit. We're still not going fast, but we are speeding it up a little bit. Now, it's important that your dough starts to come together, as you can see, and it's starting to come off the side of the bowl. There are little bits still stuck to the side of the bowl, but it's not too it's not too wet. Now, so this has been beating for about 5 minutes. You can see it's starting to stretch out, and it's become a very different looking dough. And we're going to add our salt in at this point. And we're going to turn it right up. Now, we want to beat this hard. You want to beat it hard and long. You really want to stretch out those glutens. Now, once or twice during the beating process, you're going to want to separate it from the bowl. Scrape it down. Make sure there's no excess flour stuck to the bottom, like I said before. And even if you have poured it in right, it's always just good to check. It's always better to take the hook off before you start doing this, or you get dough all over your hands, like this numpty right here. Alright, so we're just moving it around, making sure there's no flour stuck. And as you can see, I put oil on the scraper because it stops it from sticking. Idiot. And we put it back on to beat again. Now, you're going to want to beat this in total about 15 to 20 minutes. How do you know when it's done? Well, as I said in the instructions, it's when you can start to see the arms coming. I know that sounds very strange, and it's quite hard to show you, but I'm going to try by using the slow-mo effects. So as you can see, I'm beating the dough here, and it's stuck around the hook, or it's stuck on the bottom of the bowl. But as you can see later on, as I slow it down, it starts to come out, and you can see those like stretch bits spraying out from the side. That's what we call the arms, and you want that to slap around the side of the bowl as it goes around, as you can see in this part of the video. That's the arms of the dough. That's how you know that you've really stretched out your glutens. This is not a typical bread dough. It's somewhere between a bread and a sponge, really. You really want to work those proteins, and because you really want it to expand when you're cooking it. Okay, so once you're done, again, we're going to use olive oil on our bench scraper. We're going to add some to the bowl, and we're going to add some to our hands. This is the easiest way to stop it from sticking. With usual breads, you might actually wet your hands slightly using water, but because we're using olive oil in this dough, it's an enriched dough, we might as well use a little bit more oil. Now I'm just taking the excess off the hook, and I'm going to use that bench scraper to scrape around the outside of the bowl. We want to take everything out, obviously. Not waste anything. Don't leave anything in there. And it should come out fairly simply in one. And it's all out. Now what you want to do is I'm just going to fold it together a few times. I'm just folding it over itself just because I want a nice smooth dough. You can see right on top there, there's no cracks, no stretches. So when it proves nice and evenly. It doesn't start proving off in different directions. You can use a plastic bowl. You can use a metal bowl. It doesn't matter. Just make sure that it has plenty of room because this is going to double in size at least. I put a bit of olive oil on top so that if it grows and touches the plastic wrap, it doesn't stick to the plastic wrap. And we're going to cover it with plastic wrap. We're going to put it in the fridge 12 hours overnight.